Hey guys, I want to talk about one of the most nutritious foods we can get on the planet. Now, if you're not a breakfast guy, don't worry. You can eat this during brunch, or during lunch, or during dinner, whenever you want. I'm talking about eggs. Now, why should everyone, aside from allergies, start adding eggs to their diet? Well, let's go over a little bit of the benefits of eating eggs. Eggs are one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. That means that eggs have more nutrients, so things like vitamins, minerals, amino acids, all on a per calorie basis compared to almost any other food on the planet. And eggs have some of the highest quality protein out there. So if you want to talk about high quality protein, you can't get much better than eggs. Eggs have all 9 essential amino acids in them. So these are amino acids that your body cannot produce. So you have to get them in your diet. Well, you get them all from eggs. Now, I want to be clear, I'm talking about whole eggs. So I'm talking about both the egg yolk and the egg whites. So you only get all these benefits if you eat the entire egg. Now, when you think about the nutrients inside of an egg, you have to understand that an egg has to have all the nutrients required to feed the embryo of a chicken until it hatches, right? And you're going to get all those nutrients just by eating an egg. So some of the other nutrients you get in eggs are B vitamins. You get a bunch of fat-soluble vitamins, so vitamins A, D, E, and K. Actually, you get almost every vitamin except for vitamin C in eggs. You also get a ton of calcium, phosphorus, potassium, folate, selenium, choline. These are all very important micronutrients for our body. And also, eggs are a great source for omega-3 fatty acids. So these are basically a group of essential fatty acids. And we need these fatty acids for our body to survive and function properly. But our body doesn't make enough of these on our own. So we have to get them again from our diet. And eggs are a great source for this. And also you get a lot of antioxidants in eggs. Now, a big concern we all have when it comes to eggs, and specifically eating the whole egg, including the egg yolk, is our cholesterol, right? Because we know that eggs have a lot of cholesterol in them. And if we eat a lot of eggs, then our cholesterol is gonna go up and we're gonna get heart disease and we're probably gonna die a little sooner. Now, I totally understand that fear. But the problem is, it's just not true. And actually, a new finding recently came out from the American Heart Association. They found that your dietary cholesterol, or the cholesterol that you get from your food, does not play any role in contributing to heart disease. And also, they found that lowering the cholesterol that you get from your diet doesn't lower the cholesterol in your body at all. So the cholesterol in your body is different from the cholesterol that you eat. Most of the cholesterol in our body we make on our own. And actually a very small percentage of that cholesterol comes from our diet. So if the cholesterol in our body is high, then this will definitely increase our risk of getting heart disease. But the cholesterol we get from our food, it does not contribute to this. And in the same journal, they actually went on and they were looking at how much dietary cholesterol should we recommend people to eat. And they really couldn't come up with a number. There is no recommended amount of dietary cholesterol or any guidelines to stay under in our diet anymore because there's just no evidence supporting it. So does that mean that you can just start eating whatever you want, whenever you want, and never get any risk of heart disease? Well, no, because just because your cholesterol foods or dietary cholesterol does not increase your risk of heart disease, other foods still will increase your cholesterol and still increase your risk of getting heart disease. So some of the biggest ones are refined carbohydrates and saturated fats. Both of these foods will definitely increase your cholesterol and definitely increase your risk of getting heart disease. And there are lots of studies that are backing up these claims about saturated fats specifically and refined carbohydrates specifically, that both of these foods will increase your cholesterol. Now, the reason that for a long time we associated foods that are high in cholesterol with raising your cholesterol was that most of the time people who eat foods high in cholesterol will have foods that are refined carbohydrates or these saturated fats on the side. For example, if someone's eating eggs for breakfast, they usually have sausages or pancakes or bread or some other unhealthy foods on the side of them that are contributing to that high cholesterol. But really the foods that were contributing to that higher cholesterol were the foods that were higher in saturated fats and higher in those refined carbohydrates. But eggs, on the other hand, they are very low in these saturated fats and they're higher in these unsaturated fats. Now, there are some more interesting studies out there. One was looking at people who consume eggs and their risk of getting a stroke. And this was a meta-analysis. So this is like the highest level of evidence that we have. and they were looking at a bunch of different studies, and they kind of compiled them all together. And specifically, they were looking at the consumption of eggs and your risk of getting a stroke. When they looked at all these studies, they found no association between eating eggs and having a higher risk of getting a stroke. And actually, one of these studies, they actually found that if you eat a lot of eggs, you have a lower risk of getting a stroke. And they did the same thing with heart disease. And the same thing, they found no association between eating eggs and getting heart disease, unless you were a type 2 diabetic. If you were type 2 diabetic, a couple of these studies found some association between eating a lot of eggs and getting a higher risk of heart disease. And also they looked at heart failure. And they found that consuming a lot of eggs, if you're a man, will actually increase your risk slightly of getting heart failure. But if you're a woman, it will not change your risk at all. So what does that mean? Well, we talked about potentially having a lower risk for getting a stroke, not having any risk of getting heart disease, but also you have a higher risk of getting heart failure if you're a man. So maybe I shouldn't eat eggs, right? Well, I want you to take all of this information with a grain of salt. See, this is the problem with a lot of new studies and stuff that comes out, right? Because you really have to look at it and try to get the bigger picture out of it. You can't just look at one study, look at the results, and draw a conclusion and say, I'm always going to do this and never going to do this. There are always so many other factors that are coming into play. And it's the same thing with these studies. For example, let's look at that stroke study we're talking about. Remember how I said in one of the studies, if you eat a lot of eggs, you actually have a lower risk of getting a stroke. But when they looked deeper into that study, they found that that study was mainly in China. And over there, if you eat more eggs, you're more likely to exercise more, you're more likely to eat more fruits and vegetables, and you're more likely to not smoke. So basically, you're more likely to have healthier habits overall if you eat more eggs. So was it the eating more eggs that lowered your risk of getting a stroke? Or was it the more physical activity? Or was it the non-smoking? Or was it the eating more fruits and vegetables? Or was it all of the above? And the same thing can be said about the heart failure study. Yeah, if you ate more eggs and you were a man, you were more likely to get heart failure. But how much does that really tell you? What else were those guys doing that could have increased their risk of getting heart failure? Overall, if you look at all the literature out there, they cannot find any association between eating eggs and getting heart disease. So, does that mean that eggs are bad for you? Well, no. But does it mean that they are this superfood and that if you eat them, you will get a ton of benefits from them no matter what? Well, also, no. It depends on what else you're eating and what else you're doing. I know we talked a little bit about all the nutrients and benefits you get from eating eggs, but let me give you a couple examples. Let's say you have person A who eats about 10 eggs a day. He never works out, and all he does is sit around, watch football all day, and he also loves eating cheeseburgers, loves eating chips, and all these saturated fats and refined carbohydrates all day. And now we're looking at person B. This person loves eating eggs, they eat them every single day, but also they love working out and exercising. So every day they go to the gym, and also they're very active. And they never snack on unhealthy foods like chips or Doritos or anything like that. Instead, they love eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and they overall have a pretty healthy diet. Now, which person's gonna be more healthy? Well, most people would say person B, right? But both of them are eating eggs. And now if you throw in drinking and smoking and all these other things that person A could be doing, and you can see how they can become very unhealthy even though they're eating eggs. Versus person B, you can see how they could look shredded and be very, very ripped, but still be eating eggs. So, do I think that you should be eating eggs? Well, yes, they are a great source of protein. They have a ton of nutrients in them, and they aren't really calorie dense. So if you're trying to lose weight, adding eggs could go a long way. But again, it depends what else you're doing. If you're eating eggs every day, but you're also eating bagels and Doritos, and you're drinking pop, and you're smoking and drinking alcohol, then it's not gonna be good. I know this is a very extreme example, but I'm just trying to get you guys to understand the bigger picture here. So again, I do think that you should be eating eggs, but I do think you should look at the rest of your diet as well, and also look at your lifestyle too. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked that video, and if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel below. I will see you in the next video.